those of you who haven't seen what's happened, the Ukrainian president, Volodymyr Zelensky, has urged the world to recognize Russia's actions, their military operations in a part of Ukraine, in Bucha, as genocide. Now, genocide's a big word, right? And it's a dangerous thing to just throw around when there's little evidence of it. But in this case, there is evidence of really horrific war crimes that are happening. Zelensky said that people have been killed and tortured with extremities cut off, women raped, children killed. It's genocide. And photos have been released of burial pits with corpses in them, shallow graves where people have just been thrown. And these weren't just Ukrainian soldiers, which would be bad enough. These were Ukrainian civilians. And there's one specific burial pit that was found in a forest near the town of Modzin, which is about 20 miles west of the city of Bucha. And a lot of this, they think, is because of civilians being bombed and civilian homes and things like that being destroyed. But there is also the fact that there's a lot of evidence that Russian soldiers have been just executing Ukrainian civilians. And it's very harrowing. We're not going to show you any images because I don't think you need to see that. They are available online, but I wouldn't recommend looking at them. The mayor of Modzin, her home was raided, and she and her husband and son have been found dead. They were bound and showed signs of torture. Obviously, Mayor Sukhenko was the kind of person who the Russian forces would particularly be interested in taking out, because she represented Ukrainian democracy. She represented, home rule, autonomy for Ukraine. So it's extremely harrowing. There's been about 300 people who've been found there who were killed, and there were bodies strewn throughout the streets, some showing signs of being bound and tortured. And it's unbelievable that human beings could do that to other human beings. It's devastating, and it's incredibly harrowing stuff. But the rest of the world has responded to this. The US has sort of led the charge. Linda Thomas Greenfield, who's the US ambassador to the UN, said that Russia was, quote, subverting every principle we hold dear, end quote. And she urged for Russia to actually be removed from the UN Human Rights Council. That's a big deal. This stuff does not happen lightly. Obviously, Russia has been part of a lot of the most important aspects of the UN for a very long time, since its creation. So this would be a major step and a major shift in the geopolitical landscape. Joe Biden, the US president, has called for Putin to be tried at the Hague. For those who don't know, the Hague is the Dutch city where there's a lot of different international institutions for often for dealing with actions of crimes against humanity and things, such as the International Court of Justice and things like that. So and Nazi war criminals were tried at the Hague. The war criminals who fought in the Yugoslav wars in the 1990s, some of them were tried at the Hague. There was a lot of different instances where this has been done, and Biden sort of saying that Putin should be tried at the Hague is a pretty big deal. So how has Russia responded to all this? How has Russia decided to come back to maybe justify their actions? Well, they haven't actually owned up to it. They've said that it's all fake. The atrocities are all fake. I think we all know that, yes, obviously, Western sources have been the ones reporting on these atrocities. And yes, the Ukrainian president is the one who's calling it genocide, but it seems very unlikely that there's been all these different Western sources from the United Kingdom, from the US, and other European countries, from Ukraine itself, that have, been on the front lines, that have been reporting these things, and no one has found any evidence that any of this stuff is fake. None of it, right? Of course, in Russia, if you're constantly being bombarded with Russian state media, whether it's on your TV or on your radio or online or whatever, then you're going to believe that because that's all you're getting. But when you can access all these different sources, and pretty much all of them, certainly all the reliable ones, are saying that these atrocities are very much real, it just, I mean, it beggars belief that anyone could believe it, other than people, obviously, who were in Russia being bombarded with nothing but pro-Russian, anti-Ukrainian, anti-Western propaganda. So it's an incredibly scary time. It's devastating for the people of Ukraine. It's devastating for the people of Bucha, and all of us at the show and everyone at DJing in general, I'm sure, all our hearts go out to people who've been affected by this, the victims and the victims' loved ones, because these really are. This is an incredibly dark time for the world and for Europe, specifically. So, yeah, we just have to hope and pray that that Russia steps back and stops with these crimes. Of course, other governments should be doing more in the form of economic sanctions and things, but luckily there does seem to be a bit of progress on that front, at least.